Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Wendy De Rosa, the founder of the School of Intuitive Studies, and I'm here live. I've actually had a lot of, I'm in Costa Rica, and there's been a lot of power outages today, so we're going to hopefully see how this goes, and if it cuts out, I will be back on, so just hang on there. It'll just reboot itself. So, I'm going to, just as people are calling in, today's Facebook Live is on money and the correlation between money and being an empath or empathic intuitive. And this is it's a pretty interesting topic because there's not a lot of conversation about, oftentimes, in my field, there is this correlation. People will say, I'm sensitive, I'm spiritual, I'm intuitive, but I don't feel worthy, or I feel I'm an under earner. I have money issues. I can't make money, whatever it might be, but I could give my heart away. I could be there present for people. There actually is a pretty significant correlation between people who are empathic and and money issues that ensue. And I want to talk about this today. And it's also, I would say you might take gems from this. Some things may apply, and some things you might actually have a little bit different spin on the experience. So take from it what you can and leave aside what you can't, because there are a lot of people who may feel they have many money issues, but they're not empathic, or there may be people who feel like they're empathic and they actually feel great about where they are in their ability to have abundance and really continue to work on that. Empathic intuitives and their relationship to money. First, I want to talk about what this means to be an empathic intuitive, because it's very different than being a clairvoyant intuitive, a clairaudient intuitive, a claircognizant intuitive. A clairsentient or empathic intuitive has a very special way that their body operates. And this is important to break down because it absolutely coincides with money and what's happening with money. So, for an intuitive who is empathic, what that means is that they are feeling energy through the second and third chakras of their body. You may think it's the heart, and yes, the heart feels absolutely, but that's actually not the empathic power center of the body. We can feel empathy, we can feel heart. But when we're talking about empathic, we're talking about the way that the sentient, sensitive energy centers of the body feel what's going on around them, sometimes even beneath the table. So they might be feeling, an empathic intuitive is going to be feeling energy that's not named most of the time, that's not on the table and explained or clear. It's actually a little bit under the table or subconscious for another individual, or even for the empath themselves, their own body. So there's a reason why this happens. So an empath or a clairsentient person is going to feel that energy. The empath actually also does the same, but there's this sort of confusion about what's an empath, the difference between an empath and somebody who's overly empathic. An empath has the gift of being able to feel the energy. Somebody who is overly empathic is actually going to absorb that energy into their system. And this is important to understand the difference and why the body forms in this way and how money flow relates to this. So in the energetic system, we have, specifically, we're talking about the first three chakras of the body. So empathic energy is about these three power centers, and so is money. Money is everything to do with what's going on beneath the belt. So empathic intuitives, when we're raised in an environment where the boundaries have been compromised or crossed on any level that has left a child feeling a sense of perhaps unsafety, not feeling safe, or the feeling of not belonging. I don't belong in this environment. I don't belong in this, this place. I don't feel met here. I don't feel that people get me. I'm a sensitive being, and then here I am in this household where nobody really knows how to be in their sensitivity or even connected to me. Instead, they're in their own process or their own acting out or their own, whatever, addictions or, abusive behavior, whatever it may be. And I'm here in this environment and I can't feel me. It's not okay for me to be me. So at that point, for the empathic intuitive, the root chakra closes down. It actually contracts. It might not shut down completely at all, but sometimes it will. But it might just contract. And in that contraction of the body, there forms a series of belief systems. It's not safe for me to be myself. It's not okay for me to be me. I can't trust anyone. I have to trust myself or rely on myself through my gift of hypervigilance. At this point, now, for me to survive in this environment, I have to become hypervigilant. I have to be attuned to everything that's going on around me in order for me to feel safe. As a sensitive being, I'm becoming very aware. The environment, including the parental support at the time, which I want to be careful to say that it's not always the parent's fault, because I know we as parents can certainly go into a lot of shame. Am I screwing up my child? That happens in the thought process of many parents. I'll just say this, is that our parents and their parents, the conversation of intuition and empathic and sensitivity was just not on the table back then. Their level of survival was very different than our level of survival now. So nobody was talking about intuition or empathic or how to support and develop my very sensitive and tuned child. We were figuring it out through choosing this path and this life and choosing the healing along the way so that we could get here. So I digress. The empathic intuitive is now learning survival mechanisms on how to contract and even compromise a sense of self and safety in the body. And it actually starts to numb out a little bit. This is important when it comes to money flow. I'm going to come back to it. In the second chakra, at that point, my second chakra, using first person as an example, my second chakra starts to overexpose or I start to move out of the way. I start to disassociate a little bit. My soul essentially moves back or moves to the side. It moves anywhere but the center in order to preserve itself for later, for consciousness later. And instead, I start to become this is metaphorically speaking, I start to become a womb for everybody's needs and everybody's energy. My second chakra, again, just first person as an example, becomes the place that I start to house and internalize all the emotional energy that's going on around me so that I can digest it and understand it and make sense of it. It's not conscious that I'm doing this as a child, but I'm internalizing. I've moved myself out and I'm now internalizing that area in this area of my body. And just to pause for a second, many of you guys have missed the beginning of this because my Wi-Fi dropped out. So on the replay, you'll be able to watch it was really only a minute or two that you might have missed. So you'll be able to rewatch it on the replay. So the empathic, here in the second chakra area of the body, now I am learning how to coexist with all this emotional energy, and my survival is actually depending on it for me to survive in my tribe, in my family of origin, in my life, what's normal for me is that my boundaries are being crossed energetically because I have moved out. There hasn't been enough support for me to be in my center. So for the empathic intuitive, their system becomes trained on how to be absorbent in order to survive and lose self a little bit, lose the true center. This happens around money. I'm going to come back to that. The solar plexus area of the body also compensates, and it compensates because when the root chakra has contracted, the grounding is no longer nourishing. We have this beautiful grounding cord that goes down through the center of the earth, and it's no longer getting source, the root chakra. It's contracted in fear. It doesn't feel trust or safety in this, in the early stage of the programming. And so the grounding, so I'm not getting enough life force into my root chakra for my nervous system to relax, for my body to feel safe, for me to love myself and trust myself and have a sense of self. So what does the solar plexus do? The solar plexus the job of the solar plexus is to help us navigate through our environment so we know who we are and we can establish an identity. It's also the power center that helps us manifest our true self in the world. Well, if I'm not connecting to my true self because my energy system believes that my role in life is to be absorbent and present with everybody else's emotions, then I'm blocked in manifesting my true self in the world. And the solar plexus will blow open to cord into other people's energy in order for me to find safety. Because my root chakra is contracted, my soul has elevated in my body, I live higher up in my body, so something's got to ground me. Energetically, I'm going to ground into the people around me in order for me to get safe, to feel ground, to feel belonging, to feel all the things that the root chakra is supposed to be feeling. Or that's the job of the root chakra, the consciousness there. So now, as an empathic intuitive, I am now corded. I've got too much flow, too much energy coming into the solar plexus because I am not grounded in myself deeply. My root chakra is not open, soft, expansive, strong, sturdy, nourished, really feeling sense of self through the base of my body, through my foundation. And instead, I'm actually now relying on the waves of the universe, of the world, of everything, the world's traumas, whatever it might be. It's all coming into my second and third chakras because those are the empathic power centers in the body. So here's what's going on here in that system, and especially as it relates to money. I am developing, through all of this, of which I just explained, I'm developing some pretty heavy belief systems about myself. I am developing the belief that I am not worthy because myself is somewhere back here or somewhere over here. It's moved out of my central channel. So just be clear here, our central channel in our body is the flow of divinity through the center of our being. It's where our soul communes with God. That's another way of saying it. It's where there's nothing should be in the central channel but us and God, the light of the divine in God. But we're human and we go through a lot, and there's lots of things that get in the central channel. And it's our work to start pushing that stuff out, for a very abbreviated way of saying that. I know it's not that easy, but it is a matter of claiming self and claiming center again. But what's happening is I am now developing belief systems about myself. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. It's not okay for me to have, which basically means it's not okay for me to have self in the center of my body, because I need to have all these other people's emotions in order to survive in this environment, because everyone seems to be projecting a bunch of stuff out. So I'm reliant on these people, so it must be my job. This is the thought process, not the thought process, this is the consciousness in that area of the body. This must be my job, to be absorbent of what's going on, of everybody's energy, and at the expense of my own. And therefore, I am not worthy. It's not okay for me to have, especially myself, because that's the foundation. And I am not lovable. We could go on. The belief systems start to form. I'm not safe. It's not okay for me. And the big one for empaths, I feel guilty if I have anything for myself. So an empath who learns how to absorb, be absorbent, they learn over responsibility. So guilt, what's underneath guilt is over responsibility. I'm overly responsible for other people's energy. And maybe that was put on me, but maybe not. Maybe I just got that at pre-verbally. It's my responsibility. I get it. My mom can't handle it. My dad can't handle it. It's my responsibility. Let's just say, again, every family is different. So I'm just naming some situations here. It's not across the board, just some different options or possibilities. So in my second chakra and in my root chakra and in my solar plexus, which is navel, diaphragm, second chakra's pelvis, root chakra's tailbone, I am developing these belief systems about myself and how to live in relationship with the world. Money is anything you want money to be. Money is a currency. Money is a means to receive. Money is a means to have. Money is a means to belong. Money is a means to survive. Money is a means to beauty, to grace, to getting needs met, to caretaking, to love, to lots of different things. Money is a projection of whatever it is that we need money to be. And so if I'm living in my system that it's not okay for me to have myself in my center, my energy is going to live higher up in my body. If I can't receive myself back down into my body, I'm not necessarily going to trust myself nor trust myself with money. I'm going to leak it. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to overspend. I'm going to not even feel the sense of having of money. If my energy is too high up in my body and I do not feel the sense of belonging, the sense of having, the sense of worth lower in my body, not about money specifically, but about myself, meaning my soul, all of that gets projected onto money. It has everything to do with what the empathic intuitive is believing and feeling about themselves in the first and second chakras, having to do with what they grew up with, the belief systems that they grew up with. So with money, again, money being a currency and a flow and abundance, for example, abundance is the flow of divine grace, specifically through the back channels of the body and down into the root chakra. In order to have abundance, we have to be connected to the root chakra. We have to be grounded. We have to know what the root chakra feels like in its unfurled state, so it's not contracted, that it's soft and open, that we're working on trust, even if we don't feel like we've got it down, that we are willing to say, I'm willing to trust myself, my body, my life, people, that we are spending more time taking care of our body, grounding, meditating, getting more connected here. The power of abundance is the amount of love being life force energy, coming into the root chakra area of the body to start to nourish and unfurl this area of your body. When we unfurl the root chakra, it's like a cushion for your sit bones and for your soul to sit into your body. So I'm just going to invite you to do this right now, that this area of your body, so just take some deep breaths even in this moment, and you can close your eyes and I'll guide you through this, but you're going to bring your awareness to your tailbone area and to your grounding cord. And that your grounding cord is secure around your hips and your sit bones, and it extends deep, deep, deep down into the earth. And all of your issues around money, which correlate to safety, having, belonging, worth, love, abundance, are all located primarily in the root chakra area of the body. The second and third chakras compensate. They do what they do according to what's going on in the root chakra. So as you start taking some deep breaths into that area of the body and starting to, starting to breathe into your soul, moving from outside of you, maybe it moved back to the left, back to the right, maybe it moved forward, maybe it moved to the sides. But I'd like you to imagine that you have this beautiful central channel in the body, from the crown of your head to your tailbone. And that what you might be carrying in your root chakra has everything to do with what got developed, what your conditioning was in your family of origin. And your soul is constantly evolving. You are evolving. And a spiritually progressing soul always has the ability to transform, no matter what your history was. Your soul can make conscious choices to step in, to get centered and aligned, to push out the negativity, to get stronger in yourself. The empathic intuitive has to get very strong in their lower body. More clear, more centered, more grounded. So I'm going to invite you as an empathic intuitive with deep sensitivity who may have had to move outside of yourself to survive your environment, to take a step in, to close your eyes in this moment, take a big step into your body, to sit down into your root chakra with the affirmation, I am here. I belong here. I am worthy of being here. I can have this body. I can have this life. I trust myself. So now I'm going to have you breathe into that deep seat and let your root chakra unfurl here at the base of your spine. And get very connected through the back side of your tailbone area. And that's the back side of your root chakra. And for all the years that your early childhood self, root chakra is 0 to 7 years old, give or take, it's also pre-lifetime, give or take a year or two, it's where you might have been deprived of feeling love and worthy of love. Worthy of money, worthy of love. It's the same currency. It's the current of life coming into the backside of the first chakra at the tailbone. Take some deep breaths. Breathe in to that area of your body. I'm going to let that energy relax and start to reprogram this area of your body with the vibration of abundance, flow, and love. Like you're watering a very deprived root chakra flower here. Deep breaths into your root chakra. And from here, we're going to invite your soul to take a deep seat into your body. Invite all the excess energy, everyone you're taking care of energetically, to go back to themselves, releasing from your second and third chakras. Take a deep breath in, exhale, let everybody go back to themselves with blessings. Send everyone back. Good. As you do that, as you release, we're going to now envision here together that you are going to fill out into that space in your lower body. Deep breaths as you settle into your body, ground into having yourself in your body. Settling in, filling out into your lower body. So when we start to work on the belief systems around money, but we're not dropped in to the self, being present here, and instead we're absorbent of everybody else's needs, we are going to feel guilty for having money, and we're going to feel overly responsible, as if, if I have money, it's going to make me look like a selfish person, or I don't want to make other people feel bad. That's all coming out of ungroundedness. It's all coming out of the soul living too high up in the body, and the empathic power centers really, really open. They're too open. And so the relationship between the flow of money and the empathic balancing has to do with your root chakra and how much you are reformatting, reaffirming, shifting your belief systems around around the relationship with money. Now, here in the lower half of your body, when we say affirmations from the head, they don't always work. When we say affirmations from the root chakra, we're starting to shift consciousness. So imagine that your root chakra is speaking the affirmations, I am worthy of having money. I am worthy of having love. You start to shift your relationship with the belief systems around money by grounding your body and allowing these areas of your body to speak or resonate in the vibration of having. So what you're doing is shifting your early childhood unconscious beliefs. We unconsciously project onto money what we believe about ourselves or what we were taught to believe about ourselves. So the work is, how do we consciously go in and shift and reparent that area of the body? So this is sort of a step one around this whole process in shifting relationship with money. There's a lot more that can be done, including forgiving debt, including, going back and cleaning up messes, closing the door behind you where you might have left leaks or things that have been unfinished and incomplete, all of which come from belief systems about yourself, according to what you got early on. So much of life and how we operate in the world and how we are connected to ourselves and how we receive from the world have to do with the frequency of what we're carrying in the root chakra area of our body and how the second and third chakras compensate. So from here, what I would love for you to do is to really practice grounding and unfurling that root chakra and bringing love and abundance into the root chakra area of your body. And really breathe into the feeling of having. And it's having my soul in my body, having my sense of self. Really, my soul takes a deep seat inside myself. I feel it in my tailbone, my sit bones, my low belly, the pelvic floor, that you're really gaining consciousness in that area of the body, because if you don't, unconsciousness comes in, meaning the belief systems from the past come in, and that becomes the operating system that's fueling, it's the fertilizer for the tree in your body. So it just rises throughout your whole system. You're not worthy. You're not good enough. You can't have, don't have that. You're going to feel bad. All that stuff is all coming from what's unconscious, subconscious, in the root area of the body, and it's unclaimed self. It becomes our work to sit down in our body, come down in our legs, own this area of our body, have presence here in our body, in our life, walking with purpose in this life, meaning walking with presence and here on purpose. When we start to shift how we hold our energy, how we ground into ourselves, we shift our energetic relationship with the universe, with flow, and with money. It also means root chakra is about organization. It's about getting very clear. It's about taking right action. So we also can start to clean up, on a literal level. I need to go through my finances. I need to clean up the books. Balance the checkbook. Look at everything with a microscope. That's very root chakra. It's very grounding. But we sometimes will avoid or live in a chaos because there's been an operating system of chaos in the root chakra area of the body that's been feeding us subconsciously, and we operate from it. It becomes our work to get clear, to get grounded, to breathe through whatever's surfacing, to slow down. The root chakra is very slow. To think about things, to really feel into how the body feels about spending money on something and tuning in on something. You know, I didn't say this in the beginning, but I did want to share that, you know, I sort of avoided, as an intuitive healer, I've avoided the topic of money in my work, in talking about it, because I've never been called to talk about it, and I don't mean to fragment it from spiritual work, because there's so much energetically going on under money that it's very spiritual. But I've always been called to talk about spirituality, you know, and personal growth and healing and what I'm called to talk about. So, but money's the elephant in the room for many, many intuitives. And for my process personally, you know, I did grow up I didn't grow up with money. I grew up absolutely the opposite. We were very much in deprivation in my childhood, and I was the oldest girl of 8 kids, and I went to work at 12 years old, and I helped support the family. You know, we'd come home, the power would be out, the water would be out, the phone would be out, you know, whatever it was, I babysat, you know, 12, 13, by the time I was 14, I had 22 families. I'd go from school to one babysitting job, to the next babysitting job, to doing my homework, to going back to school. I mean, I worked my tail off and gave a lot of my money away to my family to help survive. And that was my struggle with money. That's the programming I got. I work and work and work, and I have to give it all away. Hard, like a child slave. I mean, that's extreme to say it that way. My parents didn't intend it to be that way, but times were tough, and that's what was in my beliefs, my family at the time. And I also had a lot of belief systems that were in my family that I marinated in, you know, like money's evil, and people who have money are selfish and greedy, and, you know, all these terrible belief systems, until I broke away and started to realize. I moved all the way across the country to have a new life experience and realize, wow, there are great people who happen to have money, and they are lovely, and they take care of themselves, and they are healthy, and they're generous and kind. You know, people who would just sort of rock my world in terms of my belief system. And it put me in a tailspin and a major healing process around money and worth and having. To a point, I spent a lot of time working on the energy around my worth and my boundaries and my sense of self, and knowing who I am and how that related to money in my life. I did not, you know, I had to learn this, and I have worked very, very hard in not continuing or catching old programming when it shows up. The scarcity mentality, the victim mentality, the lack mentality. It's a red flag for me, because I'm somebody who grew up with it, and at the same time has made very concerted efforts to be more true and aligned with who I am and how I feel and what really is my truth and my service and my offer and my gifts in the world. And therefore, I know it is possible to transform negative beliefs to positive beliefs around money. I know it's possible to transform lack to abundance. I know that. I've lived and done the work through that process. So to a point where when I hear the words, I can't afford that, or I can't do, I hear the words, I don't trust myself enough to co-create with the divine, or I don't trust myself enough to generate, to be creating new opportunity for myself to shift my beliefs. So that's what I hear under those beliefs of I can't afford it, or no, there's not enough money to do that. I'm hearing actually there isn't enough faith in self to shift the dynamic, to change the energetic patterning underneath. And so I know and I believe, and this is what I want to help you with is with this presentation, is that you are able to identify that these belief systems are not up in the mind. They're not up here. They are very much embedded in the chakras in the lower body, specifically the root chakra. And when you start to bring your consciousness to that area of the body, you can start shifting the energy there. You can start bringing in love and abundance and presence and strength and security and worthiness and all of the things that the soul and the self need in order to have money, abundance, love, whatever it is. Again, money is just a currency. Love is a currency. Abundance is a currency. We just project a lot on these things. But here is where you get to clean up your subconscious. That's your subconscious pockets in the root chakra. So work on breathing into that area of your body. Breathe out the old negative beliefs. Breathe in what you are claiming. Sit powerfully and deeply in those areas of the body and reclaim that area as yours. Full, abundant, bright, present. I am here. I belong here. I am grounded. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this, and it's really the sort of a beginning conversation into more conversation about intuition and empathic nature, and I'm sure money. I'm not the expert in money, but I do understand this relationship and healing with money. Should you be interested in going any further into developing your intuition, I do have my Intuitive Healer Training Program. It begins on April 11th in Boulder. It is a 9-month program with 2 live trainings, so you can be anywhere in the world. If you're doing the certification, you can come to Boulder. There's also an online version of the program that doesn't require travel. But if you're looking to become a healer, I would recommend you take the certification program and meet me in Boulder on April 11th. So you would go, I'll put the link underneath this video in the text so that you can click on it and check out the page on the Intuitive Energy Healer Program. And you'd fill out an application, and then we'll set up a time to talk. The clock is ticking a bit. So I just recommend, if you would love to register, do so now, or apply, do so now, and let's set up a time to talk this week or as soon as possible. Much love to you. Many blessings. Tough. It's big changes in the world right now. Big energy in the world. And we are here. We're here. We're working together, supporting each other. Send you love and blessings, deep anchoring in yourself. Go in peace. Spread the light. Blessings. Talk soon.